Now let's go ahead and create another type of application that's more sophisticated than a simple text generator, which is going to be a chatbot. Now, chatbots and text generators are very simple. They really have two key differences. The first is that a chatbot, there is a back and forth that happens. That's pretty obvious. A text generator is one and done. You put in your input, it does some processing, and you get your output. A chatbot goes back and forth. Okay. That's really the big difference, right? The other big difference that as a consequence of going back and forth, chatbots have a what's called a simple memory. They can see previous messages in the same conversation or the same thread. Whereas text generators, if you run it once and then you run it again, when you run it again, it has no memory of the first run. Whereas a chatbot does, assuming you're in the same conversation or the same thread. Okay. Now, chatbots are really the easiest, well, not really the easiest, but I would say one of the easiest things to understand here because we use chatbots all the time now with ChatGPT, Claude, all the co-pilots we're exposed to, and things like that. So in this case, we're going to select chatbot, and here we're going to give it a name. So we're going to create a chatbot that basically lets someone, let's let someone ask questions about dinosaurs and gives them responses or something like that. So over here, dinosaur intelligence app. Okay, and we'll click create. All right. Now, very similar to the text generator app, we need to specify a few things. In this case, on the left-hand side, there's instructions, variables, and knowledge. Knowledge we'll put aside until we get to the module that allows us to integrate knowledge into these applications. Instructions, that's very simple, right? We'll just do something like here, you are an AI assistant that answers questions related to dinosaurs. After answering any question, be sure to tell the user. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. Here we go. Be sure to tell the user of a random dinosaur fact. And I'll say over here, because whenever you're setting up a chatbot, you want to set up the tone as well. Be very enthusiastic about dinosaurs. Perfect. Okay. Let's actually update the model because we don't want to use Turbo. Let's use GPT-4o Mini just so that it works a little bit better. Okay. Again, we'll go through all of the model, the parameters, all that kind of stuff later on. There's also this really great feature called debug against multiple models, but getting ahead of myself. In this case, let's go ahead and talk to the bot. Okay. So we're going to say something like, hello, what dinosaur is the biggest? Not grammatically correct, but that's fine. It should still work. So now it's created a chatbot given this as the context. And there we go. Here's the response. Hello, dinosaur enthusiasts. The largest dinosaur known to date is widely considered to be, not going to try to pronounce that, blah, blah, blah. And it also provided the fun fact because I put over here, be sure to tell the user a random dinosaur fact. Perfect. Now, again, this is a chatbot. So now I can go back and forth. So instead of saying, instead of just having another general question like for the Argentinosaurus, what color was it or what did it eat? I don't have to reference that anymore. It's in the memory of the conversation. So instead of saying, what does a Argentinosaurus eat? I can just say, what does that dinosaur eat? And it should be able to reference that, okay, I'm talking about this guy over here. So it should be able to answer that question for me. And wow, it's taking a very long time. Okay, that is weird. Let's try that again. What does that dinosaur eat? There we go. Sometimes it bugs out. I'm not sure why. Probably because we haven't actually put in a license yet for GPT-4o Mini, but that's fine. Great question. Our junior Tyrannosaurus was a herbivore, meaning it primarily grazed. Perfect. So it got the actual answer correct. Amazing. Now we can just go and click publish to actually save our progress. There we go. And we can now integrate this application into an app or integrate this chatbot into an app, into our website, and so on and so forth. Okay. But again, let's make it more sophisticated. So instead of, in this case, just being a, uh, you know, instead of this being a random chatbot about dinosaurs and it being very enthusiastic and things like that, let's set a variable. Okay. So we're going to have the user determine the tone of the conversation that we want the chatbot to have. Okay. So we'll go ahead and click select, and then we'll click this variable and we'll say over here, tone, variable name. Let's just make it little t because it's a name. The label name will make it tone, and then options will have a few options. So they can either choose very informative and enthusiastic, or they can say very direct and candid, or they can say in the style of a Jurassic Park fan. There we go. Okay, we'll click save on that. And very similar to the text generator, you can include inputs into your chatbot. So before the conversation even starts, the user needs to select something. In this case, tone. It doesn't have to be tone. Obviously, it can be, I've created many chatbots related to sales training. So the user can instead of starting a chatbot willy-nilly, they select a type of sales scenario that they want to simulate first. And based on that, it provides a different prompt in the instructions, right? So there's many different things you can do with input variables. In this case, we want to integrate the tone here. So it says here you're an AI system that answers questions after answering a question. So what I'll do over here is I'll just say, I'll delete all of this, okay? And I'll say something like, take this tone when answering questions. Whoops. Okay. All right. And then I'll just put a colon here, and then I will add in the variable here. So I'll say one brace, here's the variable tone. There we go. Okay. So now when passing it to the chatbot, it will use this tone in particular. It will use whatever tone the user provides. Right. So let me click restart here. By the way, if you want to restart, you can just click this restart button too. If you want. In this case, we need to specify a tone because it's a required field. So we're going to say over here, very direct and candid. Okay. And we'll say, what is the biggest dinosaur? Okay. Perfect. Very, very direct and candid. Now let's change that to be in the style of a Jurassic Park fan. So we're just going to go here. We're going to copy the question. We're going to restart it and then say this. Okay, there we go. The quest for the biggest dinosaur, that title often goes to this dinosaur, a colossal sauropod that roamed the earth during the late Cretaceous period. Estimates suggest it could have reached lengths up to 100 feet or more, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so very similar to text generators, you can have variables enter in to the instructions, and that in those instructions, that system prompt basically applies to the entire conversation. Okay? Awesome. Now, there's a few things that we didn't go through. Again, knowledge, vision. There's a whole features enabled management system here for chatbots. But this is how you build a very simple chatbot. We'll talk about all of those features when we get to the building blocks or the components section. Awesome.